Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Foreverness 15 from Olfactory Scent Memo. Now, for transparency purposes, they did send me a discovery set like 2 years ago. Because guess what? The first time they sent me to the discovery set, early 2019 I feel, I never received it. Or it was like mid 2019. And then they reached out a few months later, asked how I liked the fragrances, and I was like, I never got them. And they very generously sent me another discovery set, and I've been meaning to review these fragrances and share them with you for the past like at least a year and a half. But because of everything that's gone on, and if you guys are familiar with my channel and also the state of the world, you know that this has been a hectic 2 years for me. It's been one of the projects that's just I've been meaning to get to and just didn't get around to it. But guess what showed up randomly 2 weeks ago? That's right. Oh, there we go. The lost package. So first and foremost, we're going to be talking about number 15, Foreverness, and this was actually nominated for an Art and Olfaction Award. Now, this has to be my favorite of the line for a variety of different reasons. First, I genuinely enjoy all of them. I think that this house has a unique and very special take on taking challenging, creative, avant-garde compositions and ideas and translating them into wearable olfactive fragrances that I just think are fantastic. I think that having this olfactive art translated to wearable fragrance is something that I see a lot more in the more indie niche houses rather than the more corporate niche houses. And there is definitely a difference between those. And being able to be creative and to translate ideas into wearable olfactive art, I think is something fantastic. You see some fragrances, some houses, some noses definitely being cheeky, having fun, and pushing boundaries, and I love that. And I love to smell that, but I might not want to smell like that on my skin, even though I do enjoy to smell more challenging. But what I like seeing is when they can take these ideas and translate them into wearable fragrances. I think that that is smart because it's accessible, and it also, to me, makes sure that you can share your creation with more people. So that's something that I see in olfactory scent memory perfumes or OSM perfumes, and specifically Foreverness. So these are genderless fragrances. They're very personal fragrances. They're fantastic fragrances. I will be definitely diving into all four, but today we're really going to be diving into 15, which in my idea is a beautiful aquatic rose. Now, the star of the show in this fragrance is specifically the Rose de Mai, and Rose de Mai is a beautiful, bold, sweet rose. It's not too fruity, it's not too big, but it's sweet, and it's just very perfect for an aquatic rose fragrance. I think the sweetness of this rose doesn't make it too feminine. It just makes it a perfect accompaniment to the other types of notes that are in this fragrance, which are very earthy, salty, and green. It's a perfect balance. Now, this is an aquatic fragrance, so if you do not like aquatic fragrances, this will not be the scent for you. And if you don't like rose fragrances, definitely not the fragrance for you. And specifically if you don't like green fragrances. Because what I find is that this is a beautiful balance of all those three things in a very strong, bold form. The rose in this is not a dew-laden, slightly wet rose. It's a hydrated rose. This rose is at the bottom of a pond that you dive into and are smelling the rose bush without drowning at the bottom of this pond. And what I like about that is it's still sweet. It's still a very distinctive rose scent. It's floral, it's beautiful, but it has a saltiness to it and an earthy moistness. I know people hate that word, but this fragrance has that in spades. I love that it's slightly salty, slightly briny, but still earthy and damp. And at the same time, there's a woodiness to this too, which balances out that sweetness. But what I really like about this fragrance is the greenness. Now, in a lot of notes, in a lot of fragrances, people really love to look to aldehydes and bright, sparkly citruses to kind of be opening your nose to take in everything else. It's a brightness. It's like palette cleanser or an aperitif. I think I used the wrong word, probably. I'm really good at that. But it kind of gets everything ready to take in the rest of the meal, which is the rest of the composition, i.e. the heart and base notes. But what I love is when there is a green note, especially to florals, because it adds a beautiful transportive feeling that this is a flower on a bush. And I love that. I love just the authenticity of you're smelling this rose bush underwater. It's kind of what it smells like to me. It's a very sharp, pithy, bitter greenness. And that might sound a negative, especially if you don't like green fragrances. Some green fragrances on some people's body chemistry can smell like cilantro, can smell like cut grass, cannot have the beauty that it would have on other skin chemistry. And that has a lot to do with body chemistry. My mom is a prime example of that. And we're actually working on a video where we're going to talk about body chemistry. I just have to do a little bit more research, and she's going to be on my channel. I'm really excited. But the greenness in this is acting like that beautiful opening, that sharp, bitter, sparkly opening, but it's like a very deep green kind of like leaf that you like broke in half and kind of, you know, smooshed it between your fingers. And then you smell that and it's green and it's just sharp and bitter and pithy, but it works almost like an acidity to kind of cut through and balance this overtly sweet rose and these kind of earthy, vegetal, damp woodiness over here. It balances everything, and it adds a trueness to the aquatic note, which works really well with the salt. The salt and the green come together to kind of create this kind of damp, moist air feeling. Like you're walking through this area and it's like it's dewy, it's hazy, it's dark, but you can smell the air. And that kind of coolness is really beautiful, and the greenness is really sharp and perfect. And then you get this damp woodiness and this perfect rose, like the right rose was chosen, and it comes together and it creates something absolutely fantastic. It is a fragrance that I enjoy wearing. I love aquatic roses, especially when there's a bit of a twang to them. And definitely that greenness gives that little pithy bitterness, gives it that little bit of zest, that little bit of something that makes this really special. What I also like about this fragrance is the fact that it performs really well, and it's, for the most part, a slightly linear fragrance. In the opening, it's going to be more green, a little bit more kind of greenhousey, and as you wear it, it gets a little bit more musky, a little bit more aquatic, tiny bit more woody and earthy, but the rose is still big and beautiful. So if you don't like the greenness, it goes away or it kind of softens after an hour or two, but it's gonna be there from start to finish. But as an aquatic rose scent, this is definitely something that I find to be enjoyable, and that part of it's quite linear, which is the part I love the most about it. So this is something that I can enjoy wearing all day. I get about 4 to 6 hours on my skin, sometimes a little bit longer depending on when and where I'm wearing it, but for the most part it has really good longevity and moderate projection and a little bit of a sillage. I would say that although this is a more avant-garde, challenging rose fragrance, it's not hard to comprehend. A lot of people can understand green notes, a lot of people understand aquatic fragrances, and a lot of people understand rose. So even though this is a little bit more creative, I would say this is something that within reason could be worn in a professional setting. At the end of the day, I just love aquatic roses, and I think that Foreverness is a dang good aquatic rose. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like olfactive scent memory perfumes, OSM perfumes, let me know what your favorite is in the comment section below. I generally enjoy all 4 of them, but I really wanted to review 15 because it is my most favorite of the line. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.